Hello, everybody. Super good morning. How's everyone doing? Welcome back. Kevin Chan here. 8:30 in the morning for today. No, 7:30, right? Okay, right. So it's a lovely Sunday today. I think it's a Sunday, right? So we are back in talking about the essential parts, the 12 branches, and today we'll be focusing on the topic of clashes, right? So which is one of the more scary topic, right? Because why? It's easier to sell fear, right? So when you say, oh no, your party chart now gonna clash, so you get worried a lot, right? So but in actual sense is actually nothing special, right? So today we will try to understand the mechanism and logic behind it, so that when you are doing interpretation of the BaZi chart, you don't go into the extreme negative sense, right? So that's what we're gonna do. Hello Pepper, hello Jocelyn, how you guys all doing? Preparation for Chinese New Year. A few more days only. Chinese New Year is on Wednesday, so another 2 more days to go, right? So another 2 more days to go, then we are on Chinese New Year already. Don't chang. Right. Haven't buy clothes, go buy. Haven't buy enough of the Chinese New Year dry meat pakwa, go buy. Right. So pineapple tart is also very delicious, right? So someone give me some pineapple tart, very fattening, but delicious, right? Hello Camper, how are you doing? Right. So hopefully you're also doing fine. Come, let us move the session, shrink myself down to the tinier version. So as usual, getting in touch with me, either Telegram, Substack, or the community page, which is Facebook. All of them would work. Anything, you can just PM me for anything at all. So specifically, you want to download stuff like today, the clashes charts, I will put inside the Telegram for you to download, right? So if you want to download it, right? So and if you need some community support, the Facebook will be good. Hello, Cam Riser, how are you doing? Hello, Lucky Queen. Hello, Manuel. Right, so happy Chinese New Year to you all. We all like to say 恭喜发财, 红包拿来. All right, so let's take a look at it. If you have not printed your BaZi chart, right? So I'm working with Typing Astro. Please feel free to go into Typing Astro and register a free account for yourself. If you find like you need the paid version for your purpose, so feel free also to sign up for the paid version. So when we talk about animal sign, the 12 branches is this lah, right? So the 4 guy that is inside your natal chart, right? So now everybody got an animal sign for the year, which is very popular. Everybody should knows about that one. That one is pretty much common knowledge. Then there is an animal sign in the month, there's an animal sign in the day, there's an animal sign in the hour. So each of these pillar, as we call it, it govern different aspect of your life. So when you're actually doing a reading, it need to be aspect specific, right? So the year doesn't govern every single thing. Hello Jenny L, going far to you as well, right? So that's why when we are doing reading, that time you need to know what are you actually reading. So that's why the concern of the other party sometimes is important. So later we will go in and look at some one of the more pertinent, obvious example. Right, so we will take a look at that. So this is where you identify your animal sign. Right, so they are called branches. They are called earthly branches, by the way. Right, so animal sign is our colloquial calling. Right, so these are all the branches interaction. So we have done the general introduction for the branches. You can go and find the video under the BaZi Essential playlist. So we have done combination. So very recently only we have done harmony. Destruction we have already done. So today we'll be looking at clashes, right? So clashes, let's take a look. So clashes, there are 6 pair of clashes, right? So there's 6 pair of clashes. So that's why a lot of time they call the 6 clashes, right? So so what is the difference and significance of a clashes, right? So now the clashes, very simple. If you take a look at that, it's basically 2 opposing forces going against each other. That's all. Right, it's just 2 opposing forces going against each other. That's basically called a clash. Right, so there are 12 separate branches. So you get 6 pair of clashes. So that's why there is 6 clashes over at the other side. Right, so since there are 2 opposing forces, so if you take a look at the elemental, so the 2 opposing forces is always of the opposite elemental energy. Right, so since they are opposing, which means that they are just opposing. right? So nothing wrong with that, right? So now, if you take a look at the entire situation, clashes just mean that whatever that you believe in, whatever currently you are doing right now, it doesn't work. That's it. That's all, right? So clashes are often obvious and also physical. Often, it is obvious and physical, right? So clashes mean two choose one, right? Two is pit against each other. Only one will survive. Highlander already become, right? So that's basically the clashes. So because what happened is people doesn't like the idea of clashes is because again we begin ourselves in a very scarcity mindset, right? So it's a scarcity mindset. Miss your periodic date activation. No, Kamra, the date activation is on the 6th of February. Okay, the one that I issue out is on 6th of February, so it's not even February yet, so still got time for you to plan for it, right? So the entire idea, right, in a land of scarcity, it is usually very painful for you to lose something. Clashes mean that there are certain things that you need to let go. That's all. Okay, right? Certain stuff need to let go. So a lot of time we say that it is a major change that causes whatever you have right now to be rendered obsolete. That one is also called a clash. Right, certain stuff are being removed. So two energy, one of them is going to dominate the other party of the energy. Is basically called a clash. Right? Pretty simple to understand. Nothing is actually scary about the entire experience. So if you take a look at it, it is just opposing energy, right? So like this particular year is the year of snake. So the opposite in terms of directional opposite is the pig. So that's why it's clash. Another word is basically called the Grand Duke and Year Breaker. In Feng Shui, we call Grand Duke year breaker situation. Right? So every year also got Grand Duke, every year also got Year Breaker. So Grand Duke means the most intense energy, highest energy area. Year Breaker means the lowest energy area. That's all on here. So by the way, Grand Duke is marking the Jupiter's orbits. Right, so the position of Jupiter in relation to the planet Earth, right? So like for example, this particular year, the Jupiter is in the southeast of planet Earth. So if Jupiter is in the southeast, then the planet is actually blocking the energy from Jupiter, right? So the what we call the northwest is the place whereby it cannot receive the energy from Jupiter because Earth block already, right? So then that place is called low energy point. That's all. It's just a high energy, low energy situation. So when it translates to your BaZi chart, then it depends on your BaZi chart already. If your BaZi chart is, let's say, water heavy, right? So this is water fire clashes, right? So if your BaZi chart naturally is already water heavy, then the snake coming in to clash you doesn't have a lot of effect. It creates a bit of an inconvenience to you, right? So that's about it, right? So clashes also look at your own self, whether you are the stronger type or the weaker type, right? So if let's say that your chart is fire heavy, if your chart is fire heavy, then you got a pig inside your chart, then the clash is going to be a bit more painful than normal, right? So the loss is magnified, right? So now the loss itself is actually nothing much, but it's magnified. It's just like a rich person going into a car accident versus a poor person going into a car accident. Right? The poor person might not even have the money. Some doesn't even have the money to buy insurance, and then they still want to drive a car. Right? So when it clash at time, you need to know. So like just give you an example. If you buy an EV car today, get ready. If the car go into an accident, it's basically total loss one. There's no chance for you to actually repair an EV car. Right, so you don't know, right? So EV car repair is not really very possible, right? So because due to what? One, if you crash the EV car, if one of the battery were to be broken, the entire battery area need to be changed. Right? If any of the electronic inside were to be broken, your entire electronic board need to be changed. And then the entire car is basically built using one piece of metal pumped together, right? So if any part of it is to be broken, you can't remove, like normal petrol car, you can actually remove one of the part and then take another part from another car and put it back in a case of EV, it's actually one part. So you're gonna have tough luck fixing an EV car that go into what we call accident. So unless you can afford that, you can afford to total loss a car, buying EV might not be something that you can maintain. So EV is like something that use and throw one. Right, so that's why you have to be careful of that. It's very, very difficult, right? So if you cannot take it, then it's painful. Also, clash is like that. Clash, if you cannot take the clash, it can become very painful. Okay, right? So now if you take a look at how it goes around, right? So no, it's nothing more. No, it's just opposing energy only, right? It's just right across each other. So it's actually not very difficult to remember if you know the 12 animal cycle. So like horse and rat. So horse and rat is still fire and water clashes. Right, so it's fire and water clash, still fire and water clash, right? So not much of a difference, but the quality of the fire and water clash is just a bit more different than the other, which is the Ping and Ren fire and water level of clashes. So if you go around, right, you can see that it is just opposing energy clashing each other. So which means that at any one time there is always opposing energy clashing each other. But the question is it relevant to you? What is the relevancy towards you when you talk about the clashes? So if you know how to translate the clash, right? You know how to translate the clash, then it's very easy to know that what are the things that is basically you can call your trigger point. Clashes is usually just a trigger point, right? Clashes is usually not the cause of the problem. It is the trigger point of the problem. So that's why a lot of people, misconcept as the clashes is the cause. It's usually accumulation of a lot of things that has already been happening. Then the clashes is the breaking point, right? So that's the tweak, the breaking point, the point whereby you lose control of the situation, right? So then there is clash. So you can see that it is all just opposing energy. Right, so I'm just trying to let you know, the clash basically is just opposing energy towards each other, right? So you can see that metal and wood is opposing energy to each other, right? So then there is still metal and wood opposing energy, right? So this is still metal and wood, because why? The dragon belong to the wood season, the dog belong to the metal season. So they still carry the characteristic of metal and wood. Right, so these are the 6 pair of clashes that is happening around. So now let's go in and take a look at a bit of an example. Then it's easier for you to understand what is basically happening. Right, so now everybody are on the 6th luck pillar, on the number 6 luck pillar. Right, so if you go and count your luck pillar number 6, everybody is the same. Their 6th luck pillar will always clash with the month, and it is what we call a heaven and earth clash. Right, what is worse, clash inside the BaZi chart or clash between BaZi chart and annual pillar. The annual pillar and the luck pillar basically give you the clash timing. Right, your BaZi chart basically just tell you that this aspect and this aspect doesn't like each other. That's all. Right, so there's nothing called worse or easy or whatever it is. Right, so now later give you a bit of an example. We'll go through this particular example first. Right, so yeah, I know you go through this particular example first because you need to understand why the interpretation as such. Right, so why is it so grave? Right, so now back in that factual thing that you need to know. Your stem in a span of 10 years, every single of your stem will be clashed. There's only 10 stem, right? 10 stem, 10 year, every single stem. Your 4 stem, right? All the 4 stem will be clashed inside the 10 year. So what is so special? Every 10 year there's a clash cycle. So what is it so scary about it if I tell you that, it is like telling you your handphone confirm will obsolete. It's like telling you, right, within 10 years, right, your handphone confirm will become obsolete. Right, so it's like buying a car in Japan. Buying a car in Japan, if I'm not wrong, right, after 5 years, confirm the car will be condemned. Right, so also the same with your Singapore, the COE, right? COE is for 10 years already. So which means that after 10 years, right, you may lose your COE. Confirm you lose your COE, no guarantee that you'll get your next COE. So understand? Right, so then why does people still go and buy a COE when you know that you will confirm to lose it? So it got nothing to do with whether clash or not clash. One is how you handle the clash. So every branch also is the same. Every branch, you know, got 12 branches, 12 animal, right? In the span of 12 years, all your branches will be clashed. Okay, right? So then if you combine the the stem and also the branches, then in a 60-year span, you know, every of your pillar will be clashed. So which means every pillar will go through this what we call heaven and earth clash. Now heaven and earth clash is like the 6th pillar. So the stem, like this one example, the stem, Kui water stem, is gonna be clashing onto the Ting fire. So and then the goat is gonna be clashing onto the ox. So this is called heaven and earth clash. So heaven and earth clash usually is big issue, huge. Right, so now if you look at the Chinese show last time, they said that, oh, 呢個鬼門關, right? So you know, gate of hell, right? It's gonna be a tough things for you to cross. You know, 如果你過到呢個鬼門關嘅話，they usually is talking about heaven and earth clash. Right, so now if you take a look at this right now, see this one, everybody 八字 chart number 6 luck pillar will heaven and earth clash with your month. So then how? So what is so scary about it? Everybody's gonna go through it. Then you need to think of logic of the entire thing. So now the logic of the entire thing, right, is particular this particular pillar is actually called your retirement pillar. Right? So it's interacting with your month. Your month is basically called your job. It's basically called retirement pillar. Right? So this is when you need to pass your family business to the next generation. That's all only, right? So then for those of you who have followed the previous when we talk about 3 harmony combination, the 3 harmony combination for everybody is usually 40 years old span. So the 4th luck pillar, right? The 40 years old luck pillar, right? So you see the 40 years old luck pillar is called your career peak. So your career peak is when you receive the family business from your parent. That is when you are 40 years old that your parent will officially, you know, say that, now you are the head of the house. You're the head of the house. Okay, right? So, you know, I'll pass this particular entire business to you. Because why? You see, take a look at the 6th pillar, right? So the 6th pillar, you are already 50, 60 years old. Think about it. Can you still be efficient in running, as in farming, fisherman, carpentry? Doesn't matter what sort of work that you are in. You are getting a bit old. Right, getting a bit old, you know, is whatever labor work is not there. So that's why I tell a lot of people, right? The Chinese culture, or you know, our human culture has been pretty. The olden day has been very, very easy as in, you know what's gonna happen. So it's like I got a piece of land, you know, I'm a farmer, so right now I am strong, you know, I can farm, you know, I can plow the thing, you know, I can create food for whichever family that, you know, is together with me. But I understand that one day when I'm old, 50, 60 years old, you know, I don't have any energy left, I cannot continue to work the farm, and, you know, if no one were to be there to take over, then, you know, it's gone, no? So the entire family all die, right? That's the entire idea, right? So then, for me to pass my trait and skill to the next generation, I would need to create the next generation, right? As in have babies. So now, if 50, 60 years old, you're too old, you know, you need somebody who has, you know, great energy to do the farm. Maybe a 34, 40 years old guy, you know, have good experience. When should you make the baby? 30 years ago lah. So that's why there's the entire idea of, you know, I need to get married, you know, like 20 plus, I need to go and start to get married. Because plus 30 years, 20 years old plus 30 years old, I'm 50 years old. The guy is 30, so I need to get my baby from 20 years old. If 25, then become 55. Plus 30 only actually, right? So if you're 30, then it's 60. It's pretty logical. So now you start to understand, oh, that's the game that's being played. Yeah, that's the game is being played last time. Right, so now this one, retirement pillar, then it makes perfect sense. Right? So it's a place whereby you completely lost your ability to continue your farming. Makes sense. So is that a big thing? Right? So because in the olden day, we are all trait of one. No, it's unfortunately is because if your parent is a farmer, farming is the only thing that you know, right? Everybody in the town basically only know farming. They don't have other knowledge, you know, because acquiring other knowledge is very difficult. They can't invent the knowledge out, you know, out of nothing. So they have to go to places whereby the knowledge is available, learn from the place, come back, you know, teach the place. right? Makes sense, right? It makes sense. So that's why, you know, when you are one trade champion and you lose the ability to do the trade, is a big issue, huge, if you don't have a next generation to pass to. But today you still got that problem, no? Right? Today we are presented with two new problems. One, you got nothing to give to your next generation. You don't have farmland, you don't have fishing boat, you know, you don't have any carpentry business. Your job cannot give to your next generation one. Right? Even those who say that, you know, oh, you know, I sell insurance. Insurance also very difficult to give to your next generation. If the fella doesn't meet the quota, you still don't get anything. Right? So, you know, it's very difficult to give things unless you have a business that you're running and the next generation is happy to receive the business, that is great. If not, completely no use. This entire game of, you know, trying to pass it to next generation doesn't happen. Number two is that we don't die so easily. Right? After the 50, 60 years old, right? So we'll probably live until 80, you know. So which means that there's another 30 years after this particular clash, right, that you need to go through. So where got this thing called retirement, right? So now, and also another one more thing is that the month also represent parent palace. So now, like, so, you know, this one clash over, please say, oh, then you mean that my parent will die. Hey, hello, you're 50, 60 years old already. Your parent is 80, 90 years old. What do you expect? Right? Long live until 200, 300 years old, man. Hello, come on, think about it. Right? So 30 years ago, you know, your parent give birth to you. Right? So the gap is always 30 years. You know, so if they, you know, if they give birth to you at 30 years old, then the gap is always 30 years gap. You know, so you could do the calculation. Right? So if you are 50, 60 years old, you plus 20, you plus 30, you know how is their age, right? Right, what you expect they don't go, right? Cannot be, man. So that's why you can see that this particular month clash, right? In the olden day, it is really big shit. Right? So it's either, you know, losing your parent, or, you know, number two is that, you know, you are losing your livelihood, right? You're losing your livelihood. Okay? Right? So, but if you take a look at it, right, it's something that is naturally progressive, right? Losing the ability to basically work in a labor market, you know, so which means that you become more fragile, weak, you know, not so strong. Or more importantly today is that, you know, your employer do not want to continue to pay for you because you are expensive, stubborn, slow, don't listen. There is younger, more hungrier, cheaper labor out there who can produce the same amount of quality work that you are. Now, right now, not only you have to fight with the younger, cheaper, right? So, and you're gonna fight with the AI, which is forever young, and it's getting increasingly economically viable, right? So now you see a competition is very different, right? But clashes happen. That's the part of it that you need to understand. The clash happened, right? So let's take a look, right? So yes, there's a 10-year in each pillar. How will you determine which year other than generate by? What do you mean? How do you mean that? The year will always go by the sequence of the animal sign one, ma. Right? So if you are clashing, then there's only two animal only, 6 years apart. Right? So like, for example, this is ox, right? So that particular 10 year, it must be a goat year and an ox year inside. The 10 year must have a goat and, you know, an ox. So it's either the goat that's going to trigger the clash, or it's the ox that's going to trigger the clash. Right? You can even zone down to the month one, right? So it's either, you know, the luck pillar right now clash already, then it's either the goat year or the ox year. So if you go into goat year or ox year, it's either the goat month or the ox month. Then you become the goat day, ox day, then, you know, the goat hour, ox hour. That's a trigger point, right? That is basically where the trigger point comes in. Right? So if you are super unlucky enough, you know, the one that is really gonna give you a huge trouble is the 10-year luck pillar. The 10-year luck pillar already having an earth clash, right? You happen to have a month inside in this particular 10-year, right? So in this particular 10-year, there is a year inside which is also having an earth clash for you. Then within that particular year, also you got a month that is having an earth clash. And within that particular month, don't know how, you know, the day also is basically there. Then you also have an hour, or the luck pillar, day, month, year, hour, all also having an earth clash. Then, you know, that particular clash is really very, very painful. Okay? Right, that is a month clash also signify residential relocation. Month clash usually doesn't require any relocation. It's usually year. Year clash usually will trigger a relocation. Last time it's running away from the town. Okay, right. So that's basically right. So the trigger point of the year clashing with the corresponding pillar. It's same lah. Just now told you already. Is that two animal sign. You can actually just match it down, you know, to whichever you want. But normal circumstances, I wouldn't advise you to do that lah. Because why? That only create fear for you. No point, right? Both parent pass away stakes from below, right? So is the mind clash also say, yeah, all right. So that's basically is what happening. So then you want to know what is actually the clash, the quality of the clash. Then you study the 10 God component, right? You study the particular 10 God component. Like for example, this particular clash you know already is indirect wealth is the one that is being clashed, right, from your side, right? So the other side, you know, is also indirect wealth. So if you take a look at it, this is water and also fire clash. So now you translate water to the day master is resources, right? So I know it's resources clash. So it's gonna be health related. Resources a lot of time is gonna trigger health, right? So the fire itself, you know, the fire itself is the output, right? So output also has a lot to do with your physical ability, right? Output, you know, output a lot of time has to do with exercise, your physical ability. So if you're going to be health, physical ability, then you need to take a look, have you been okay with your health or not, right? So like for example, this sort of chart, which is very heavy earth one, right? So this particular chart, by the way, this chart is today's chart. So it's a heavy earth. So heavy earth in terms of health got one problem. It always hide health problem. So when this particular clash come in, right, the health problem that has been hiding surface. Now you suddenly found out that you got a sickness which is already in a critical stage. Then it is going to cause you to not be able to continue the work. So if you don't have any backup plan, you know, you can't pass it, then that's it lah, you're gone. Right? So your entire economic model, you're going to lose your livelihood, that's all. Okay. Right, so now if you have massive amount of wealth, you have collected massive amount of wealth, or you have already planned for your succession, then no problem lah, right? Then it doesn't create any problem at all. So every time, you know, you understand something, right, it's actually to work out a countermeasure or to be able to find a way to maneuver around it. That's all. It's not for you to go fear, because why? No need to go fear. Everybody gonna get hit. I understand, 10 year, all your stem gonna get hit. 12 year, all your branches gonna get 60 year, all your pillars gonna get hit. No one is spared. Everybody is gonna go through the same thing. So this is the part that, you know, we tell you this system is fair. It's just when only it's either you're gonna hit earlier, you know, if you hit earlier, then you got more time to recover. If you're hit late, basically don't need to care. Right? The painful part is that if you're hit between the third, fourth luck pillar. Third, fourth luck pillar, if you need to go through all these things, is painful. Right? It's very, very painful, because that's the time whereby you are economically most contributive. As in, that's the time where you are most active. You'll be able to make the most decision, do the most thing, and you need to go through one of these catastrophic gearbox jam. Right? So in driving car, this is a situation when your gearbox suddenly explode. Oh shit. Right? So the car can't move, you can't push the car. The gearbox bust already, you cannot push the car, and I just tell you, there's no more neutral gear. Right? So you can't push the car, you know, it's stuck in the middle of the road. Everything is just, you know, complete chaotic. Right? If that's the only car that you have, then, you know, it's very, very difficult to fix. Right? So it's those type of situation, you know, it's a sudden jam of things. So if you know that's going to be happening, right, then get ready for it. Like for example, for those of you, you know, who have this year of snake, so for those of you who got pig inside your chart, so already confirmed this particular year, there's going to be certain aspect of your life that's going to go into halt, a jam. It require a reset, it require a rethink, it require a replan. That's all only. Right? So then you need to go and ask yourself, is that aspect of my life at this current moment critical or not? If it's not, put it aside. Next year is going to be fine. You're going to fix itself anyway. Right? So why is it so, you know, whatever it is, you know? So even if it's, you know, you say that, oh, okay, you know, like So this born in month of November, confirm pick already. November month birth person, you know, it's like, this year's snake, November month means that your career is going to have something. Right? So your career is going to have something, right? How many things can your career change? One, your boss change. General, what we call management change. Management change, management style change, the way that management do things change. Right? Your 頂頭上司 go and change, they have different style. The two things you ask only, can you adapt to the style? Right? So a lot of people, their choices is that run away. Right? Anyone who gonna ask, go out and find another job, it's like, you go out and find another job, you think that the other job gonna care about how you feel. Right? The other job also, have their own rules and regulation. It's just basically a change of rule and regulation only. So what is that? Or number two is the resources change. Resources change mean that the people who you work with think that you have access to, changes lah. Right? Today you got this friend ciao, new friend come in, don't know how to work with a new friend, it's fine. Same thing. You go to a new organization, not new people, man. Still new people, man. What's the difference? So number two is that your entire job nature change. Right? You're supposed to do A, then you are asked to go and do B. So also what's the big deal? You go to a new company, you also change your job nature lah. Yo. Right? So I don't know why people is like, you're just gonna ask yourself like, you're okay, normal question. Do you need the money? If you need the money, you got no guts to go and start your own business. Shut your bloody mouth and work. That's all only complain for now. Right? 6 love pillar clashing with my Monday and hour. Wow. Right, your Monday and hour. Then gigs, it's gonna be a bit painful to you. A lot of things changes. Right, so if you're talking about Monday and hour, now just give you a very traditional, what we call very traditional reading, which is usually, just tell you, it is usually very negative one, right? So that's basically telling you, right? At that point in time, you lost your business, your wife abandoned you, took the children and run away, right? Yeah, 妻離子散 they call. Sounds scary or not? Maybe, but then right now you need to take a look. You don't have a business to lose. Okay, so if you don't have a business to lose, your wife don't have an expectation of you keeping the business. Right? Then your children doesn't have the expectation of receiving a business. Then you don't have problem lah. Right? So then your problem level is very different already. So you need to really take a look at the situation that you basically have. Right, so take a look at that. What's so difficult about it? Company went bankrupt, no choice, got to change. Yeah, right. So Noni, that's one of it, right? So it could be now company went bankrupt basically means that the resources part of it that is not working, right? So that's why a lot of time, right, when people say that should I change job or not, right? So a lot of time I ask them is the reason for changing job is because your reason of changing job is not good, right? You go to a new place, right? It's going to be the same problem alone. Because you carry yourself to the new place, right? Every single problem is actually created by you and it's not really created by, the situation. Because the situation is same. The situation has been there before even you join. Right? So problem usually created by you, right? So Yi Hai is the most badly affected day master against why Yi Hai? No, Ji Hai. Right? Ji Hai is the one that's gonna get crash the worst by Yi Si. Right? Ji Hai is the one that get clashed the worst by Yi Si. So if you are Ji Hai, then congratulations. If you got any Ji Hai pillar, right? If you got any Ji Hai pillar, right? So take care. Right? So take care. Especially if the Ji Hai pillar is your day pillar. Right? Just pre-warn first. Heaven and earth clash in the day pillar. Sometimes can result in death. Right, because the 7 killing is there, right? The 7 killing is there because the Yi represents 7 killing to the G energy, right? So the clashes of the day pillar is a lot of time it's called loss of identity. The hour pillar full clash is loss of direction. So month is loss of income, the year is loss of reputation. So now you need to ask yourself, important or not? If it's important, then it's very painful. If it's not very important, because different phase of life, different thing become important. Like for example, if you 20 years old, you just go out and starting a job, then job is important, right? Relationship generally is secondary. Then you go into a stage whereby your job become very stable already. Then you start to be pressured by your parent to get relationship. Then that period of time, 30, 40 years old, 25, 35 lah, you go say, then that point in time, then relationship become very important lah, right? Then when you reach the older stage, then health become very important. It's always revolve around economic, relationship, and health. These three things, it always revolve around these three things, right? So when you amp up any one of the other two will basically become destabilized. When you spend too much time in your relationship, your income and your health usually doesn't. When you spend too much time in your health, your relationship and your income usually wonky. When you spend too much time in what we call your wealth, then your relationship and your health usually also go wonky. Right? It's always like that, So you need to know how to swap around every now and then. So you find that the income is okay already, then you work on another. Right? So that's why you have to quite understand the movement of your bazi chart for you to do proper planning for yourself. So for you to know that, at this current moment, so it's like, when your wealth star is fairly active that time, right? You don't go invest your time into relationship, and especially when you see that your day palace is being clashed, right? At that point in time, you go and spend time in relationship. Hello. Right? This is called suicidal, right? So whichever palace is going through a better time, you spend more time in building that palace. Always use the palace when the palace is good and just abandon it when it's not too good. Makes sense, huh? Right? So that every year certain things go up, because every year change, right? Every single year change. Right? So if every single year change, which means that you got plenty of time to this year do this, next year do that, another year do this, another year do that. You don't have to stick to one thing every year. Right? So that's why, clash is not scary unless you have zero backup. You got zero backup, then clash become very scary. That is the one and only thing you have, and you got completely no backup. Then that becomes scary. Okay? Because you cannot afford to lose. So clash, you can afford to lose, no problem. So that's why, for you to handle clash, fun thing is go find option. Yeah, go find option, then, clash is not a question already. Right? So that's why I say that in the olden day, the clash of the month is like super important. Because why? They don't have other option in terms of, running the farm. If I don't go and plow the land plow itself. Right? If I don't go out and fish the fish jump onto the shore and let me eat on itself, is it? Cannot be ma. Correct or not? Right? So guys, so this is the clash. So don't get scared about the situation. Bound to happen, confirmed to happen. So in to put it in a way, in a 12-year span, right? Whatever the clash is, the combined three harmony, whatever it is, whatever reaction, right? All you will get, good and bad, everything you will experience. So right now, question is, how do you maneuver and savor all the taste, right? So do you spend too much time on the negative side, or are you somebody who would be grateful and savor the good part of things? All right, guys. All right, that's it for today's sharing session. Hopefully this one help a bit. So at least it's established a little bit in terms of your understanding of the bazi relationship. All right, guys, that's it. See you all. Bye. And 恭喜發財 first and grab more ang pao. So for those of you who are grabbing ang pao, we Chinese like to say that this year is the last year of you taking ang pao already. Next year is your chance to give ang pao. Okay, remember that. Pressure. Bye bye.